Assalamualaikum. My name is Syed Moheeb, and I have been in the industry more than 40 years. 43 years in the industry and now 2 years outside. My experience in the industry has been in all areas of insurance, both life and general, conventional, as well as Islamic-based insurance, or what is now called Takaful. And I've been involved in the direct side of the business as well as from the wholesale side, reinsurance. So I've been across the length and breadth of the industry. And also in talent management, in education of insurance as well. The most memorable part of my working experience has been with the Takaful industry, where Malaysia is at the forefront of the global Takaful world. At one time, Malaysia's contribution to Takaful was like 50% of the total Takaful market. We came up with models that was challenging the status quo, and Malaysia provided a lot of technical inputs in the concept of Takaful and sharing it at international conferences, etc. Takaful in Malaysia started in the early 80s, and so which means that it has been in Malaysia for close to 40 years already. 40 years is quite short by the conventional insurance industry standards. Takaful in Malaysia has progressed at various levels. We started off with one particular model, and we introduced many more models over the last 40 years. But more importantly, Takaful in Malaysia has taken a very big step when it comes to introducing Sharia-compliant life insurance in terms of innovation, in distribution, in product development, as well as more so innovations in linking protection products with investment. So for us in Malaysia, where Takaful is concerned, it was not just about developing products that is compliant to Sharia, but also in collaborating with distribution partners, with banks, and now with fintech companies. So there's a lot of innovation going on to ensure that the exponential growth of Takaful products continue to be there. For information of the audience, Takaful in Malaysia, the growth rate has been 2-3 times more than the conventional. And now with the advent of big data and with the advent of predictive analytics, Takaful is not just talking about collaboration with new partners, but also how to use current technology to make the Takaful business more profitable as well. So Alhamdulillah, for us in Takaful, the assimilation of new technologies is not only opening up new doors, but also ensuring that the profitability of the funds is used to the benefit of the community. The first Takaful models in the world started in Sudan, where it was a pure social mechanism to help the masses. There was no or very little requirements to commercialize the business. So in Malaysia, we started what is called as Tijari Kafala, which is basically commercial cooperation, where there is an element of profit making, profit for the manager to manage a social fund. So it was a new model which allows a company to actually manage fund and make some profit. The model that we first incorporated in Malaysia was a model that enables profit sharing between participants and the management company. When Takaful Ikhlas started, we were looking at a new model called Wakala model, where the income stream was from fee-based income in managing the participants' funds and the investment fund. So we were amongst the earlier exponents of the Wakala model. The Central Bank of Malaysia has started to come up with the concept of Wakala, but we sort of operationalized the model. And that Wakala model later eventually became to be acceptable worldwide. So Sudan was the first country that started Takaful. Malaysia expanded the concept to make it commercial, and then other countries followed. There were subsequent models by other countries, Wakaf model, hybrid models, etc. But in Malaysia, the spread and the acceptance of the Wakala model made Tijari Takaful or commercial Takaful to grow in the way in which it had grown. Takaful growth has been more than the conventional insurance growth. At Takaful Ikhlas, starting from zero base, we have seen our growth being exponential as well. And in the 10 years that I was with Takaful Ikhlas, we grew from zero to managing asset size of 2 billion ringgit in just 10 years. And 2 billion Malaysian ringgit is equivalent to about 500 million US dollars. That growth would not have come if we had just adopted traditional distribution, if we had adopted the usual way of backroom processing. That growth came about through our incorporating latest technology. The growth came about through our incorporating and collaborating with business partners, and our growth would not have been possible had we not been able to manage our businesses. Embracing digital technologies will not just benefit businesses, but it is also critical to ensuring continuing successes for the future. All in all, I had about 45 years of working experience. And in that 45 years, the business scenario changed. From my view, I see the changes happening every 3 to 5 years. And for me, there is always a need to catch up with not just the technological side, but also the content and knowledge side. Now, with this change in technology and the content and knowledge, there is also a need to change my mindset. It's not just about being in touch with what's happening outside there, but I also need to be changing myself to be able to keep up with the times. So the keyword is keeping up with the times. So how do I go about doing it? 3 things. Firstly, I make sure that I am in contact with people. And it's not just contact with people, with younger people as well. It's not about being in touch with them, but it's also about understanding how their mind works and what they are doing to be relevant. So for me to be relevant to the industry, I need to be in touch with the younger people. So that's one. Secondly, I make sure that I understand what is happening on the technology side in terms of social media, in terms of big data, and understanding what is meant by AIs, APIs, RPAs, etc. Not just knowing the meanings, but what goes into the works as well. Very so often, we get caught up with cliches and we repeat the cliches without understanding how this thing actually operates at the work front, where these things are being used in the work front as well. The third thing that I do is to taking lessons from the hadith narrated by Al-Bahagi that for everything there is a better way. So when I engage with people, I always look at what problems they are having and how those problems can be resolved in the shortest and most effective way. So in other words, I put into place quality issues, the Deming cycle, plan, do, check, act. I look at ways in which current businesses, current issues, current problems can be resolved through that use of technology. I look at work, how those issues can be resolved through work simplification. And in other words, when I engage with younger people, I always try to see what are the areas that needs to be remedied, how those things can be remedied, what are the project plans that needs to be put into place, what kind of timelines, what kind of KPIs. So it is always engagements with the view of improving processes. So by having that in mind, I become relevant to the industry, and the industry's problems becomes my problem as well. So I'm always in engagement with people and with the industry. We are reading a lot in the internet, in the social media, in the press, of the impact that COVID-19 has not only on businesses, but how it has also affected our personal lives. The numbers of people infected by the virus has reached pandemic levels, and we have seen the 11th of March, the World Health Organization has declared that we have come into a pandemic stage. We see COVID-19 as threatening businesses. We see COVID-19 as threatening our own personal selves as well. But ladies and gentlemen, with every threat, there is an opportunity. With every threat, it puts ourselves into our defensive modes, and we think of new ways of how to overcome the threats. And it is very comforting to know that businesses in a very short time has put in place risk management initiatives that not only will contain the impact of spread, but also will ensure that if there is a spread, the impact is mitigated and reduced. For us here in Malaysia, among the things that we have seen, very widespread or very informative, up-to-date reports being shared in the social media by the government agencies. One, we see sharing of initiatives taken by various companies. For example, a lot of companies now are imposing work from home initiatives. A lot of companies now are requiring staff who are secondary and tertiary suspects to take certain actions. And we are also seeing now companies who have put into place protocols that will restrict, that will prevent contact at a wider scale. For example, the seating arrangements have been changed, meal arrangements have been changed, clusters and engagement have been changed. I was at a university 2 days ago, and it was comforting to know that the universities have limited the number of face-to-face engagements and have asked all schools within the university to step up their e-learning modules. One university which requires the lecturers to teach online to an extent of 20%, they move it up to 50%, and that forces the way in which learning is being taught. Right? So for COVID-19, in terms of resilience, we are seeing not only new ideas being put forward, more so we are seeing the ideas put forward being crystallized in a very, very short time. The sense of urgency when one is threatened and pushed to a corner just shows that with whatever threats, if we put our minds together, the impossible can happen. Who would have thought just 2 months ago that companies are prepared to let their staff work from home. Who would have thought that planning to work from home, the ability to put in place and to deploy technology that will enable work from home can happen within just a few days. Now, this threat of COVID has actually forced companies to rethink their businesses, to deploy technology that will then enable people to work from home. So the threat of COVID actually forces businesses to rethink their processes, to reinvent their processes, to ensure that the companies remain resilient through this difficult period. The new way of doing business through adapting to COVID-19 actually have moved their planning ahead. They're bringing forward what they had planned a year, 2 years into just a matter of a week and 2 weeks. And with that, I think what they say about threats also offering opportunities is really, really true. The 47th ADU conference will talk about rejuvenating, reinventing, and resilience in the digital age. And those three words basically speaks about the extent to which we either seek incremental benefits through digital embracement, or it speaks about reinventing the whole businesses, coming up with new business models to ensure sustainability for the future. So, in other words, we're talking about being resilient with the dynamic changes through the adoption of various technologies. Moving forward in future, there's a need for us to embrace social media. There's a need for us to embrace big data, mobility and positive computing, cloud technology, as well as artificial intelligence and robotics. Tomorrow's businesses will require us to be doing predictive analytics in determining the market needs, and for us to engage the markets and customize our businesses to the individual needs of our customers. Things will change, where previously we may have homogeneous generic products, but in future there'll be a need to customize, there'll be a need for us to segment market demand and customize our products to the specific needs of the segmented markets. For us to ensure continuity of our businesses, there'll be a need for us to reinvent, there'll be a need for us to rejuvenate, and there'll be a need for us to look at resilience totally differently using technology to ensure that we match our products to the requirements of the markets. The ADU conference has always been groundbreaking conference in that new ideas, new topics, new perspective are being shared by a variety of experts. The title of the 47th ADU conference, which will be held from the 6th to the 8th of December in Kuala Lumpur at the Berjaya Times Square, will basically cover rejuvenating, reinventing, resilience in the digital age, which is very critical for today's businesses. We hope everyone will come in, not just to listen to the variety of speakers, very eminent speakers, but also to share your perspectives on this particular topic in your area of expertise from the various environment that you come from. We all know that there's no one size fits all, and this sharing of ideas from people from all over the world will certainly benefit all of us. So please do come, enjoy Kuala Lumpur, and we learn together of how to keep our businesses relevant for tomorrow. Thank you.
Super.